Okay, so that just leads on from what we were talking about before, doesn't it, with the portions and working with the catering and things. Okay, so why did we do this project? We had 2 healthy lifestyle wards within Ashworth. Because our patients, like everyone else's patients, were all putting on weight. Our population have a BMI of over 25, around about 90% of our patients have. One of our sequence targets was to maintain our BMIs and potentially reduce them. Other interventions that we were doing, things like our education, didn't appear to be working, and we wanted to promote health, not thinness. We didn't want to put anyone on a diet, okay? And it was one of our service improvements as well. Okay, so that's our sequence target, to maintain BMI and potentially reduce the weight and BMI. Okay. Okay. Ashworth is an obesogenic environment. Outside is an obesogenic environment as well. We know medication increases our patients' hunger, makes them more lethargic, makes them more thirsty. For years, we've had full 3 meals a day, puddings plus second helpings, as many extra pieces of bread as people want, and drink milk throughout the day as well. Like everywhere else, we've got a shop where our patients can go in and buy extras that just adds onto the meals and adds all those extra calories and fat in there. We've also got a drop-in, so patients can go over to social events and they can, again, add more of those high-fat, high-calorie foods there. Lots of patients report that they eat for peer pressure as well. If you're sitting on a ward with 20 patients and you're trying to be more healthy, when people are sitting there eating chocolate or biscuits, it's hard to resist, isn't it? It's hard for us to resist if we're sitting in the office. Okay. Again, things like buffets and social events has been a big part of getting our patients to do different things, really. Smoking ban has increased people's appetites. Although we don't want people to smoke, it has been a way of people reducing the weight. Increased benefits, boredom eating and comfort eating. We know ourselves the worst time for us all eating is when we're sitting in front of the telly, isn't it? Take the packet of biscuits out and you start eating them, and then you've ate the packet before you know. Our patients have got lots of complex issues, so it's really hard for them not to comfort eat and not to boredom eat. Self-harm. We manage our self-harm in high secure from people, but another thing that takes over is people getting that control back by eating for some patients. Limited activity for our patients, again, due to things like security. We're governed by how often we can give them exercise. Also, medication. If you think about someone, if you give someone medication 9 o'clock in the morning, it may make them a bit tired, a bit lethargic. Their optimum time for exercise may be 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're doing meals, we're doing med rounds, so we're not able to facilitate that. Okay, this is just on our intervention wards and our control wards, the distribution of our BMIs. So if you look at the intervention wards, the biggest part of the BMI is around about 25 to 35. Control wards are a little bit bigger, so the biggest part of them are between 25 and 40 for our control wards. So control ward starters as a bigger population. Okay. Timeline, how did we start it then? Sequence target commenced in April 2011. And we done some consultation with patients. We wanted patients to be on board with the project, because if we didn't have the patients on board, we wouldn't get it to work. So we've done some things like attitude questionnaires for both patients and staff groups, and process mapping days for, again, patients and staff groups. Done some things like protocols for exercise equipment and training for the ward staff for nutrition and health promotion on exercise equipment as well. Worked with the catering quite a lot into doing all the portion sizes. Baseline data was taken at the end of 2011, pre the intervention, and catering had to order things like new trolleys as well, so they could fit all the individual portion sizes in. All patients was offered a weight management assessment on the intervention wards, and at the beginning of September there was the introduction of the calorie control meals. We followed that up at a 3-month, a 9-month and a 12-month at the end of the study. Okay, inclusion criteria. All patients on the wards were included in the service improvements. However, 1 patient from the intervention and 1 patient from the control wards were excluded because it weren't appropriate for them to be following their healthy lifestyle. Okay. On the intervention wards, we had 28 patients. We used 2 different wards to get a good overall distribution. One which was a neurocognitive ward and one was the mental illness ward. The control wards, we had 32 patients who were involved in it, and we chose a similar sort of population to the intervention wards. So we'd had the same sort of control. Okay. Baselines that we used was things like your weight, your BMI, your waist circumference, blood lipids, HbA1c, fasting glucose, and blood pressure. Looked at the medications, both the physical health medications and the antipsychotic medications as well. Okay. Other baselines that we used was physical activity, shop floor calories, and attitudes of staff and patient from questionnaires. Okay. So the weight management assessment was done as per your NICE guidelines and DOM UK. Worked out everyone's nutritional requirements, and although there's a standard for people, recommended standard for people's nutritional requirements, you can work it out by the weight as well, so that's what we've done it by the weight, using the Schofield's equation. There's a few different equations that you can use. Most of them give you around, not much difference. Okay, so our patients on the two intervention wards, the nutritional requirements for calories come out between 1,760 to 2,500 calories. Okay. In our weight management assessments as well, we look at what the patient's going to expect from being in the pilot group. Have they tried to lose weight in the past? What have they done? What's worked for them? What hasn't worked for them? What their concerns were, the downfalls, trigger times for patients as well. Confidence and importance scored is a big thing. If someone's lacking confidence, we need to just increase that, where we're talking about motivational interviewing again. Okay. The dietary treatments we use as evidence-based things, like we use things like SAN guidelines, your DOM UK guidelines, NICE guidelines, British Heart Foundation and CREST. Okay. So the meals were split up into round about 1,800 calories from breakfast, lunch and even a meal, and each patient had a snack allowance as well to individualise the meals. Some patients who needed more got a little bit different portion sizes to that. Okay. From the weight management assessments, from the reported intake from patients, I analysed it and used a microdiet, and patients were taking in between 1,900 and 5,670 calories a day. Okay. Portion sizes commenced on the wards. After a day or 2, some of the patients were complaining a little bit about the portion sizes, so we went back and reviewed them again, made them a little bit bigger, and they were fine. Just some of the responses from the weight management assessments. Nothing different to what you did outside from people in community, really. We have the same sort of issues. Patients' concerns, would they going to feel hungry? Will there be enough food for them? Will I be able to lose weight? If someone's been trying to lose weight before and failed, the confidence is going to be pretty low. Okay, expectations of being on the healthy lifestyle ward was to lose weight, get a good diet, healthier foods. Patients want to eat the right foods, increase weight and muscle for some patients. And something that I was really surprised at, because we've got men in Ashworth, be able to fit into jeans. Okay, you usually hear that from the women wanting to fit into their clothes rather than the men. Another thing, again, be fitter and happier. So patients know that if they lose weight, it is going to make them feel a little bit happier. It's going to improve their mental health as well as the physical health. Okay. Downfalls that patients thought that was going to affect them: eating junk foods, motivation, peer pressure, self-willpower, difficult not to buy all the good foods from the shop, increased portions, boredom, and nighttime snackings. Okay. The wards plays a big part in the success of weight loss for these patients. Although we done the calorie controlled diets for everyone and we give them the snack list, one of the wards done a shopping list before they went over to the patient shop for them. Breakfast club was probably one of the big changes that we had on one of the wards as well. Lots of our patients don't get up and have breakfast. They miss one of the biggest meals of the day out, one of your most important meals of the day, and that just increases people snacking a little bit later on. We've done lots of health promotion events, so we've done things like calorie matching tasks on things like milk and cheese and all the nice sorts of foods that we like to eat. Ward staff give them lots of support. We know weight loss, we need to keep giving our patients support, and we know that patients still need lots of reinforcement and lots of encouragement to lose weight. Once that stops, the weight starts going back on again. Okay, so here's the results. This is what we want to say. Okay, intervention wards, the one that we done all the work on. Over a year, we got a 93 kilograms loss from our patients. Probably take about 20 kilograms of that off, because someone lost a little bit of weight by default. He weren't well, and so we can take about 20 of that off. Okay, we did get a weight gain on them wards of 34.4 kilos. The control wards are the ones that are alarming. 110 kilos in a year gain for patients. And we did have a loss on there as well. Some patients are trying to lose weight on them control wards, so we had a 36.6 kilos loss from them. Okay, that's one of the intervention wards, and that's the light blue one is the pre-start weight, and the darker blue one is the end weight. We did have some patients moving wards, so that's the last weight we had for them on those green ones. So you can see there's a couple of patients put weight on them wards. Okay, that's the second ward that we use for our intervention wards. Again, we had lots of patients on that ward that did go off and move wards on that. We didn't follow up the weight loss or the weight gain when they went to other wards, and it's probably an idea to have done that as well. Okay, control wards, that's our pre and post. It probably doesn't look as dramatic like that as what it does when you're talking about kilos, does it? The variables are quite high. Okay, don't know why that's black, but there's probably one of our biggest weight gains was round about here. on our control wards. Okay, so changes in practice that have come from that. Although we did make some of the portion size smaller, things like your high-fat foods would have been smaller than what the rest of the hospital was. We did have better quality foods. We did get more quality foods in. Try and fill our patients up on your high fibre things, so we use more things like granary bread. Try to get them to eat more stuff like veg, which is quite hard for our patients because lots of our patients have never ate a piece of veg in their life. Okay, patients did become more active and they were encouraged to become more active. Staff also reported improved self-esteem in the job because we did put exercise equipment on the wards and the staff did go on the exercise equipment with the patients. So they got the opportunity to exercise while getting paid as well. Okay. Smaller things like sugary puddings. Over in Ashworth, we have our own catering who are really, really good, and we worked with them and they made individual size puddings. So instead of them just getting a big scoop of cake and custards, they got a smaller bit of custard. No seconds. We have had no seconds policy in Ashworth for I think probably about 2 years. Not that it always gets adhered to because it's quite a trigger time meals. So if you've got a patient standing there and maybe one patient hasn't come in for their meal, so it's there, it's hard to say to someone, no, you can't have that, because they would individualise the right portions come down for that ward. Okay. What's come out of it as well is we did look at the calories that patients bought in the shop, what they were buying, and we've made a computer package that reports everything that someone buys from our patient shop and how many calories are in the foods. Okay, so how do we move on from this? Still lots of work needs to be done. We didn't catch everyone with weight loss. Again, outside, you won't catch everyone with weight loss. You're going to have some patients that are non-compliant. To move on this year, we're starting to target the admission wards. So as soon as they come in, we want to get them into that good practice. And hopefully when they move on to the other wards, they're already in that good practice. We want to slow down the weight gain that patients have when they come into high secures. Okay. Although we monitored the calories purchases from the shop, we didn't look in to see whether they bought more healthier sorts of foods. Although talking to patients, some patients did choose more healthier sorts of foods. This year we're going to look at other things that we can get on the wards that we didn't monitor. So things like how much bread that they're eating, how much milk that they drink over the day. If they go to catering and they have a meal there, are they coming back to the ward and they're going to have another meal? They have the lunchtime meals. In these next sessions, we want to put more dietetic input in and education for patients, more sort of behavioural stuff as well, using things like your hunger score, so patients can take the responsibility of themselves really to take charge of their own physical health. And group sessions for weight management, and we want to include some exercise sessions with them. Okay, any questions?